From the women's prison to the grey gates. Over. Hallway, and it's a prison. You're not allowed to have who would be walking here. So they say it was Martha Rendell. So I always ask if people are staying at the youth hostel, I hope they have a torch and a purpose for being here, otherwise they might bump into Martha. Okay, so this is the women's prison. Only part of it you can actually see today. But this was originally the convict kitchen, laundry and utility rooms. The convict establishment was transferred to the colonists in 1886. In 1888, this part was transferred and made into a women's prison. So you can see the cells are a lot bigger. If you have a look at the charge sheets on the walls, you can also see that women are sent here for very different reasons. In reception, I talked about being homeless, drunk and disorderly, using bad language. They also have, one of the crimes is being of evil intent, which basically means that you're hanging out with people who are thinking about doing something wrong. Nobody's done anything wrong, so basically hanging out with the wrong crowd, you can be locked up for that. So that's why they would lock women up. Also, obviously, you've got some women here who have no family, nobody to look after them. Some of those women have to resort to stealing and prostitution to actually make a living. So obviously women are locked up for those things as well. But generally you can see they're coming in and out of here for a week or a month or 3 months, and then they go out and they're released for a while, and then they come back for the same crimes. Partly because the women don't have the same benefits as the men, because during a lot of the time here, if you had somebody in charge who wasn't really that worried about the women, they weren't taught any skills. The only jobs they could do to get some money put on an account is do the laundry for the 1,000 odd men in that area, maybe do the mending. Although later on you'd have a matron that would come on and they'd teach them how to do be seamstresses and so on. So it just depends who was in charge here. The other thing that's important to note is that when this place opened, it was all non-Aboriginal women that came here. But in the 1950s, WA introduced its Native Welfare Act, and within 10 years, the percentage had changed. It was 80% Aboriginal women in the women's prison, which is particularly tragic when you think again about the stolen generation, because if you're a woman and you come here, if you have a child or you're pregnant, you only have a very short period of time to find somebody to take the child before the government steps in and takes the child away. And in the case of Aboriginal children, often they're not returned to their families. So that's really quite awful. This prison closed, the women's prison closed in 1970. They opened Bandy Up Prison, which is the maximum security prison for women. And then they made this into the psych assessment centre and the art centre for the men's prison. So they would come here and do art classes. So I always like to finish on a light note before I let you go and set you free. So I think it's a light note anyway. So I talked to you about Pegleg in the main cell. He was the guy that did all the artwork in his cell, with the guy with one leg. He came here and he was doing art classes. He tried to escape. He got out into one of the women's yards. He hid down a drain. The prison officers knew he was there somewhere. They moved the furniture and they blocked his escape way out with the furniture. So he stuck in the drain for 2 days. Had to dig his way out of the drain. When he got out, he tried to make a flimsy ladder to climb over the wall, but he's only got one leg, so he couldn't get over. He's left the ladder against the wall, hoping to fool the prison officers that they think he's gone. Then he came in here and hid under the floorboards. But he didn't fool the prison officers because they knew he was here, because when they came in the morning, they could smell toast. He'd been cooking himself toast. But it didn't take him very long. They found him under the floorboards, dug him out, and he went straight back into his cell again. So he didn't get away. So that's my funny ending to the story. Okay, guys, now this is where I say thank you so much for coming. Thank you for buying a ticket. When you buy a ticket, that is your investment in Fremantle Prison. So hopefully you can take a little bit of Fremantle away in your hearts. You'll remember some good things and hopefully some interesting things about being here. If you've had a good time, tell all your friends. We're on Facebook, we're on TripAdvisor, and we really appreciate it if more people come. If you had a terrible time and you didn't enjoy it, you thought it was boring, don't tell anybody. My name's not Deb. Thank you. I'm going to release you to freedom. If you haven't had a chance to have a look outside, there's lots of things to look at. We've got 2 display areas and a visitor centre and lots of things to keep you interested. So I'm going to escort you out. If you can just wait for me here, I'm going to take you down to the Ray Gates and let you go free. Thank you.
You are the best.
Oh,
really
thank you so
best.
much.
Excellent.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
All the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank